Welcome to the Pool Nation podcast, where it's all pool talk. And we ain't talking about netting and jetting or splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. We talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. Now let's welcome your host, with over a decade of industry insider experience and still the reigning champion of Marco Polo, Edgar de Jesus, and his co-host, John J.J. Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and Zach the Pool Boy Nicholas.
Welcome, everyone, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. I am your host, Edgar de Jesus, and yes, I am the reigning champion of Marco Polo, along with John J.J. Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and the famous Zach, the Pool Boy Nicholas. And yes, today we are in studio, so we are with the Cannonball King himself,
whoa.
Mr. Spider.
Thank you for that warm welcome. I wasn't expecting that.
Hey, today we're talking to Casey McGovern, Mr. Todd Pieri, and Steve Barnes. And I want to welcome everyone to this live podcast. Today, we're talking about a very special topic that I think we need to obviously spend a lot more time talking about. And last time we had the podcast and Casey was on and Todd jumped on the live, and we'll share a little bit about that a little bit later. And I think a lot of synergy, a lot of passion went into that, to where Todd called me and said, we got to do something. So we're going to come out, we're going to schedule a podcast. And as you guys have noticed, John, this is what, our third time live this week?
Yeah, I was just going through it right now. Pool Nation Podcast Marathon Week.
So people are either going to love us or they're going to hate us and get tired of us. But But with this topic, we had to make time for it. And it was one of those that we're getting close to busy time. We had a whole bunch of people scheduled, but we were going to make it a priority and make the time to make this happen. And so we pulled it together. We did an extra episode this week. And so we're excited to have you guys here today. So anyways, before we get started, I want to thank our visionary partners for this podcast: Ultimate Pool Tools, the SPPA, Blu-ray Excel, AquaStar Pool Products. We want to thank Natural Chemistry, Raypack, Heritage Pool Supply, and Hayward Pool Products. I want to thank you guys for your continued support. John, I know you jumped in, but good morning. How you? By the way, John, I don't know if you felt my vibe when I called you this morning, but I was tired.
Dude, I was just getting ready. I was typing you a little message right now. I'm saying I feel for you. You got.
But tell me, off of that intro, as soon as Spider hit that button, like my energy level just went out the roof.
It's crack.
It's like crack. It really is. I'm not kidding.
You hear that whistle? The same thing happens to me because I was tired too coming in here.
I wish I shared the same experience with you guys. I'm still battling my demons every morning, trying to stay awake and fight my old age. I got up today at like 5 o'clock in the morning, as I usually do, and I've come to just accept the old age, which is fine. And it has been a little tiring, right? Not so much physical work. Obviously, we got a lot of work that we're doing with the company and servicing, installing, doing all that stuff that we usually do. And summertime starts to really take a toll on you when it's so hot. And now we're like, 120 degrees or like 50% humidity. So it's a little tough, but it is what it is. Nothing's really changed. It's more of the mental exhaustion. And we like to take a lot of time prepping for our guests that come on, and we have a lot of things happening this month, especially with the women's event and the podcast that we had this week. We've done our third one.
Our third.
The most we do is usually 2, and to tag on to what you were talking about, Edgar, when the opportunity came up for us to be able to have this podcast, we had to jump on it. And I'm going to get into it a little bit later, but this is a very important subject, and we had Casey on about a month or so ago. I don't know, it was a few weeks ago, and we had a very good conversation that was eye-opening to a lot of us, including myself, and to our listeners. It inspired a lot of thought, provoked a lot of action, and Todd, the AquaStar team, Steve, everybody who's behind it, Olaf, that are there fighting a good fight over at AquaStar, jumped in and threw their hat in the ring and announced that they were going to get behind this program, and they were going to partner with Casey, and they were going to be donating some money, and then wanted to jump in and do a podcast talking about it. Well, we preach, this is something that's very important. It's not okay, let's wait 6 months to do this and talk about it. No, we need to do this now and get on it. This is an initiative that AquaStar changed their whole. You'll get to see what they've done and what they're doing and what they plan on doing and the program they initiated. But mad respect to you guys for putting your money where your mouth is and actually putting action forth and doing something about it. Too many times in this world, and again, I don't want anybody to take me wrong on this, but there are a lot of good causes or a lot of things that happen that we can be a part of, right? And as corporations or as individuals, we can choose to participate. We can talk about how great it is. A lot of companies go out there and donate money, which is needed, right, in order to help fight these causes. But not many go much further than that, right? You put money in and you donate for a cause, and then you've done your thing for the year, or you feel good about what you did, but have you really done everything you possibly can to help maximize that or help drive that message home? And I think that's where AquaStar kind of shines. And they're saying not only are we going to be giving money, but we're partnering. And these are the types of programs that we're going to be implementing. And this is how we're going to get the message out to everybody the best way that we can. I just think you guys are a world-class team. Just goes to show again, AquaStar, you guys are leveling up, changing the perception of how things are done. And I'm just proud to have a small little part in it, just being here with you guys. And I'm looking forward to seeing the type of impact that you two can have in the industry in a positive way, so that we can hopefully prevent these needless drownings that are happening every single year because of something as silly as not having the ability or the capability to learn how to swim or to take some safety precautions. So I'm super excited. Thanks, guys, for coming out here. Steve, I know it's been a long week for you as well. You've been here for...
Now, are you saying that? Are you going to be like...
I'm saying that because you're with Edgar.
I knew it. I knew that's where you were going.
Texas
I knew
is
it.
Beautiful. Food is great. Right?
Oh, yeah. I've been eating well.
It's a little hot there, but... Yeah, it's nothing too crazy. You've had to be with Edgar for...
I knew where he was going. Yeah. I could see it in his twinkle. What it is, he's jealous is what it is, that it was you and not him. He called me yesterday. He's like, I miss you. I haven't seen you in a while. And I'm like, bro.
Kevin, edit that out of the real podcast.
His bromance kicks in. His bromance kicks in. You know what I mean? And then he starts getting hostile. It's almost like that hangry type thing. When he doesn't come out like once or twice a month, he gets hangry.
I also want to say this, and I want to give much respect out to my good friend and brother, Edgar. You have been a trooper this week. It's not easy doing what you're doing. You got a lot going on, especially with the kids going out to college and stuff. And we got the women's event happening this month. And we've had 3 separate groups come out in a week and to go out, wine, dine, do what you've done, go do the studio time. I'm not complaining because somehow I got away with not being there. It just so happened to work out that way where I wasn't there. And I'm just thankful that you're there doing it, brother.
No problem.
I have no problem doing this podcast. Let's go.
Yeah. And it's been a great time. And I've been hanging out with Steve. And I was telling Steve yesterday that my time with him in Terry Arco was just like 3 friends hanging out. It really wasn't. And yes, we had to do all the pictures and the entertaining and going out to dinner and stuff like that. But just getting to listen to them and their war stories from back then and all, I completely soaked it in. So anyways, but I appreciate you bringing up my daughter's thing so I could start crying on the podcast. So
right.
Anyways, Casey, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very good. Thank you for having me. It's such an honor to be here yet again, twice over the last month. And then we will be here at the end of August for the Women's Summit too. So yeah, thank you.
No problem. And it just seems like now she's just going to be coming out like Steve and Todd. They come out like every other month.
In rotation.
Steve, how are you? Good morning.
I'm doing amazing. Loving it. Just really excited about this topic. I think we can really help move the needle. And it has been an amazing week hanging out with Heritage and then, of course, Terry. You guys are amazing. It's great fun. I love what you're doing for our industry.
I appreciate it. It's been an amazing time. Mr. Pieri, thank you for joining us. He was the last one to show up. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one. This is, if you've watched us before and you know the passion that we have in our products and our pumps and our filter and our ozone, you're really going to see the passion in this one, because this is the backbone of AquaStar right here relative to starting in the safety arena. So the synergy between Every Child a Swimmer and what we're trying to accomplish is incredible. And we're honored to be able to partner up with Every Child a Swimmer and help move the needle in this arena.
Awesome. Hey, before we get started, and we're going to get started, I want to give some shout outs here so I don't forget everybody online. So Mr. Brian Kerson is up. What's going on, brother? Big shout out to you. Reyes Conde, Pool Nation, live on Saturday. Good morning, Maestro. Good morning. Yes, we are live. And then Making Waves, Tammy, Danielle, what's going on? Logan, Siloam Pool Care, Mike, Rick, Maria from Ensenada Pools, Mr. Corey Wax. What's going on? Eddie, big shout out. Mr. Chris Melee. Let's see here. Rick, AquaStar is a rock star. Oh, yeah, I like that. And Mr. LaPiccolo, what's going on? Big shout out to you. And then Edge Pools. Big shout out to you guys all this morning. Thank you so much for joining us live. So, John, let's get through a couple of housekeeping notes here really quick so that we can get started. So we do have the Women's Summit that's coming up August 29th and 30th in August out here. It is completely sold out, so we're excited about that.
Woohoo!
So looking forward to that. The other thing is the Pool Nation Spotlight Insights. We have the new one coming out this coming Wednesday, so if you are not signed up for that, go to poolnation.com, enter your email address. There'll be some promos on there. I just got Todd, John, to extend that $300 promo, and I think he's going to allow me to throw it out there. Am I allowed? You know what? I'm going to make a decision. Can I make a decision? You're going to let me run with scissors?
Sure.
You're not going to get mad at me?
No, I'll get mad at you.
You'll get mad at me, but you'll get over it?
We'll work through it.
So here's what will happen, John. For the next 30 days, we have the promo out, and you can use it as many times as you want. How about that?
Oh, my gosh. I didn't think you'd go there.
Wow.
So if they buy 5 pumps, they could use it over the 5 pumps. I say yes. John, do you second?
I say yes.
There you go. Done.
And we'll
Done.
see this website down after 2 weeks or something like that. I'm sorry.
So
until supplies last? Is that what you're saying?
So
while supplies last.
Yeah.
So everybody that's listening, you're only supposed to use that code once, but you know what? I'm going to make a decision and see how mad I can make Todd. So for the next month when the insight is out, if you buy 10 pumps, you could use the code 10 times. And if you use
That's
it 10
huge.
times, that's $3,000 that you save.
I may not come back.
He might not come back after that. So let's do it. So anyways, go out, check it out, sign up your email address. The next thing that we have is the Pool Nation Conference, November 9th, 10th, and 11th. We are going to be doing technical classes, hands-on business retail. And we just announced yesterday that we partnered with Heritage Pool Supply. AquaStar, you guys are absolutely amazing because you're bringing your A game to this event. We're going to have John's dream reality come true, which is the Disneyland. And John, I haven't shared with you yet what they're doing, but they're going big for their display out there. So the Heritage Pool Pro Appreciation, November 11th from 3:30 to 7. It's absolutely free. It's something different that we haven't done in the industry yet. It's all hands-on, so there's no tabletop. It's more of an apple bar type mentality. When it comes to the business side, you'll be able to go meet with people and talk about scaling, talk about finances, talk about HR, branding, all that kind of stuff. And then all of the visionary partners are going to be there. AquaStar is going to be there with their equipment, and it's completely different to where the pool pros show up. No tabletops are allowed. All the equipment are there, and what you guys do in the training classes, teaching pool pros how to program, how to install, all that kind of stuff. So,
John, it's so different that Steve didn't sleep last night because all he could think about was how are we going to pull this off?
You should have seen it, John.
Literally.
Like, he got out of the truck last night, and he had this focused look. He got in the truck this morning and wouldn't let me and Todd have any other conversation. And he's like, I need to grasp the concept of what we're doing. And me and Todd were like trying to change the conversation. So awesome. And he turns and he goes, we're not talking about anything until I have a clear understanding.
You can literally watch him mentally check.
Oh, yeah.
I had 3 bullet points that I had to answer so I could get my brain back.
Oh, and I'm sure.
John, it was amazing.
Oh, and I bet I can only see Todd just sitting there thinking, oh, my God, how much is this going to cost me? You know?
I knew it. And John, you should have seen. So really quick, before we get into the podcast, so Steve has been with me all week. And so I was showing the videos and where we want to put them and all that kind of stuff. And we want it to be big. And so we found out that the first floor, you can't use a forklift. And so the unit that they have is so amazing that it requires a freaking forklift to be able to put that display where we want it to. So Steve's brain starts going, how can I redesign this whole thing? Can I take the parts and use it from that? Or am I going to have to start from scratch? And I need 1.5 inches on this side and 2 inches on this side, and we need to replace the pumps. And he's going off on this tangent in the truck about how this thing is going to go. And John, just envision Steve's style when it's like all the 3D stuff is going up in the air. And that's how his brain was going. Yeah, he was like in this world. And then all of a sudden, we have to call Todd because we have to tell him that the unit that they have won't work. So he's going to have to completely build something new. And Todd was like, Edgar, dude, like every time you call me, you cost me money. Like, what the heck is going on?
Our line on our P&L changed from Pool Nation to I have an idea. And I know exactly who it is.
But Steve came over and he comes over to me a little bit later and he's like, Todd just called me. And he said, build whatever you need to build. And I'm like, yes. So I was screaming in the truck celebrating. So thank you for that.
And with Steve, when you have an idea and we have to bring it to life, he needs someone to talk to, but he'll figure it out.
Oh,
he's
yeah,
figuring
absolutely.
out while he's telling you.
Oh, yeah.
And he gets to where he needs to, but he's just,
He's going through the journey.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't help myself. I just can't help myself.
Hey, you should
Keep this in mind.
Go ahead.
Keep this in mind when you're building this, Steve. Build it as if it's going to be the centerpiece for your building. I think whatever you guys build, you should have it and have it on display at your guys' facility, so that these walks that are happening and the tours of the plant are going to be something that are going to continue, and more people are going to do it. How cool would it be to have that as your centerpiece or your masterpiece, displaying and showing all the wonderful products and stuff and innovation that you guys have created, right? So it's not a one-time thing. It's a thing that you guys are going to be using over and over again and at every single conference that we're going to be doing. So I think if you put it into that perspective, then the budget should at least increase tenfold.
Yeah, I was just thinking, is that what you were doing right there?
That fish was coming. It's in the boat, baby.
This is why John and I are a 10-punch combo.
Todd's a smart man. Dude, Todd's a smart man.
He's no dummy.
We're not stupid.
He's no dummy.
He runs a very successful company, right? And you have to be very cautious about where you put your money and make sure it makes sense. And you have to be a visionary and be able to look into the future and see. And when this money, you just can't throw away money and expect your business to be around 10 years later. So absolutely, I get it.
Price and profit are cyclical, right? And we can control our costs.
Yep,
we control our costs.
Don't point at me.
He pointed at me too. Wait, we're co-conspirators now.
Yeah, I feel like but I'm not letting you come out early anymore.
But you know what'll happen, John? When it's a huge hit over at the thing, then he'll come over and be like, "Good call, guys. Good call." So
this is bigger than the boot camp carts. Physically, and we're moving water. This is a traveling science fair.
Yes.
It's amazing, John. Your Disneyland dream is going to come true. Trust me. Oh, and by the way, I didn't share.
I hope I
John?
can ride it. Can I ride it?
No.
Like a water slide, right? Like raging waters.
Monetarily, we hope everyone.
I do have to tell you this, John, because I didn't share this with you, but Steve and I were having a conversation about the Disneyland dream of John and that kind of stuff. And that sparked some of the other people that listened to the conversation, because there was other people that listened. And I got phone calls going, oh, if AquaStar is going that big, we need to step up our game too. So look at what they're doing. Not only are they stepping up their game, they're forcing everybody else to step their game up.
That's the beautiful thing about it. And that's what we want. This is what drives inspiration. It drives innovation. It gets people, we're all competitive in some way. We want to put forth our best foot. We want to be able to make magic happen like this. And I think the rest of our partners are going to feel the same thing too. Nobody wants to, you're going to build this big, beautiful cake and then you walk in with a half-eaten cupcake, you know what I mean, at the show and present that as your masterpiece. You know,
John,
you guys are,
John, check this out. Right here, David Jones just sent us a message on the chat, and he goes, back to the drawing board, I guess.
See?
I feel your pain, brother.
See? David now gets it that he needs to up his game, and they got some really cool stuff. So
pop-up banner's not going to cut it.
A pop-up banner just doesn't do it anymore. No. It just doesn't. No. And then I do want to give one last thing, and we'll get started with the podcast. One last thing that I am going to do is I am going to prep Brian Cresson because he's on here. And Brian, most likely you will take the brunt of the labor and you will have to put this thing together. So I'm prepping you now so that you don't get angry at me later, because they'll get angry at me later having to put all this stuff together. So prep yourself, Brian, because it's coming.
It's too big, Brian. You'll have help.
Let's get started, my friends over here. This is all about Casey now. See, we just flipped the switch like that. Boom. So, Casey, you were on here a couple weeks ago, and you shared your story, and AquaStar jumped onto the podcast, and I think a great partnership is building from this. And we want to talk about that. We want to talk about what AquaStar wants to do, what we want to do to be able to help. But maybe we'll have some new listeners that are catching. They haven't listened to your previous podcast. And by the way, Steve, what number was it?
203.
203. So the previous podcast was 203. So we're going to have Casey tell her story, obviously a little bit shorter version, but go back to episode 203, listen to that podcast so you really get a full understanding of what it is that we're talking about and why the passion so much. So Casey, thanks so much for joining us. I know that today's a difficult date for you, and I'll let you share that. But can you share your story a little bit with us for those that haven't heard your story before?
Yeah, of course. And I just want to thank you. I just want to thank you guys all for this opportunity yet again. I think that anybody that hears a story, I hope, will just have it resonate and let them think about what they can do to push it forward and cause a ripple of change and for positivity. So I'm open to sharing it anytime I can with the goal of saving lives. 15 years ago today, actually, we spent the day in the pool. Our family did. And at that time, I had an 11-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 19-month-old. And my husband was home, and we spent the day in the pool area, having lunch, having popsicles, just really enjoying the last days of summer. And we were a big supporter of floaties. So even in that day, the girls were wearing their floaties and just floating around in the pool. And we thought that life was just absolutely perfect. We were incredibly blessed. And at one point, I got out of the pool with Edna Mae, who was the youngest, put her down for a nap. My husband came in soon after with the other girls so I could go to the grocery store. And so I go to the grocery store and I got back and I was met by Edna Mae in our family room where I proceeded to put her in a glider chair on the opposite side of the kitchen counter while I put my groceries away. And at the same time, there was a gentleman that came over to talk to my husband about work. And so they went into the front living room and it was a little bit more busy than norm. So I think that it was just added just another level of chaos to our family at that time. As I'm putting groceries away, he called me into the front living room to ask me a question. And I went into the living room, answered the question, came back, and she wasn't where I had left her. And I knew to put my eyes on her, but I wasn't alarmed because our house is safe and very protected. And that was where we had the play dates and we were the helicopter parents. So I knew to put my eyes on her. And so I went bedroom to bedroom looking for her before I proceeded to go outside. And again, the pool wasn't on my radar. I don't know why at this point when I think about it, but it wasn't until I looked to the right. I was walking to a little play area, a little swing set, when I saw her floating in our pool. And I just ran around and held her and screamed. And I didn't start CPR. I didn't do anything but hold her and hug her. And thankfully, my husband heard my screams because he came out and took her from me and put her on the coping. And the gentleman that was there during the interview was also just such a hero of ours because he's the one that called 911 because my brain just shut off. And he handed me the phone. And I remember talking to the 911 operator as if it was yesterday and screaming. I don't know what I was saying, but I was screaming. And she said, "Ma'am, you are not helping the situation. Put it on speaker and put it up to the person doing CPR." I did. And watched my husband do CPR until the paramedics got there. And her and I got in the ambulance and we were brought to the hospital where they eventually got her heart pumping at that point at the hospital. And then we were transferred to another hospital for another week. And throughout the week, we watched her fight for her life and had to come to understanding that she wasn't going to be okay and talked about organ donation. And we, on the 11th, decided to donate her organs and say goodbye to her, where she was able to help 4 different family members. But just to go a little bit more into the details and the time frame, at 3:46 p.m., I checked out of Publix with my groceries. And I think that's significant because it's such a short time. And I think people have to understand that it's quick. So 3:46, I checked out of Publix, packed my car with the groceries, drove home, unloaded the groceries, put them on the counter. And then obviously the chain of events that I just spoke about. And at 4:15, I'm in the hospital by myself, soaking wet, watching my daughter fight for her life. And 29 minutes from going grocery shopping for a family of 5 to an absolute worst nightmare happening. And it was so fast. It's one of those things where she went this way when I went this way, and our life changed. So the last days in the hospital, the last thing I said to her as I clipped her little clips of her little hair that she had and took her earrings out is, "I promise I will do everything in my power to help other families never experience this." And today's 15 years later, and I've never quit. I've had to pivot a lot. I've had to figure out, but I grew and I learned, and I feel that I'm in the right path. I feel that what we're doing with Every Child Swimmer program will really, truly move the needle. I really do. We're building accountability. We are teaching children to swim. And that's really the only thing that we could do to prevent these drownings from happening. Yeah, 15 years ago, our worst nightmare happened, and not a day goes by that I don't wish that it was different. But I'm called to do this, and I don't take it for granted.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And every time you say it, I believe you with all my heart that you said that you were going to do this for the rest of your life. And I shared my story, obviously nowhere near yours, but I was at that moment on my knees saying, just let me keep her. If I have to take care of her for the rest of my life in whatever condition she is, I'll spend the rest of my life doing that. So when you say that, I go through that emotion every time. And I truly believe, based on everything, on your actions and everything that you do, that you will spend the rest of your life fighting for your daughter.
There's no doubt. And I had the same argument with God that, please let me keep her. Please let me keep her. But the thinking back about the hospital stay and the progression of a Monday to a Monday, they allowed us to take care of her and they allowed us to do these things. And then there was a point where, as I was cleaning her eyes and brushing her teeth, I knew she wasn't there. And I said that to my husband, that I have to let her go. We have to let her go because she's not there. And no matter how much I prayed and wanted it to be different and would have done everything in my power to just have her with us, I knew it wasn't the reality.
It's a very difficult situation. And unfortunately, a lot of times it takes, I think that's why this topic is so important, is because unfortunately, until it happens to you or it happens to somebody close to you, you don't click, you don't do the things that you need to do. And that's why when AquaStar jumped on the podcast and did what they did, and Todd's just been very passionate about this, and Todd called me one day and said, can we talk for 10 minutes? We ended up talking for 2 hours after he had talked to you. And he's like, I have to do something and I need your platform and I need you to help me and we're going to do this. And even the time frames were very tight. We said, we have to make it happen. So we appreciate you guys as well for doing what it is.
I just want to interject because you also made it work for us to make it on this date, which is a significant date. And you all worked your schedules around to be here on such a significant date, because we usually do an act of service on this date as a memory and something positive to come. So thank you for working your schedules around to make this be special.
And this is Saturday, August 3rd.
Yes. Crazy.
Casey, you're an amazing woman in person. You have the strength that you show every single time you tell your story. And I've heard it many times, and every single time it just, I don't know, it definitely has a profound effect on me. And I can't even imagine being in your position and being able to relive it every single time. And I know you do it. I know it hurts. And the reason why you do it is because you're so strong when it comes down to your convictions and what you're trying to accomplish here and what you're trying to do, that you have to share this story over and over and over again, right? And go through that pain and relive that every single time. And yes, time does heal to a certain extent, but it never fully heals. There's scars left behind, right? And you go back in and you relive it. I don't know. I just don't know how you do it. You are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for doing that, especially on a day like today. We're going to do everything we possibly can to help drive this message home so that we can avoid another family to have to go through what you went through. Todd, I want to start off too with giving you guys a big, huge thanks for coming on to the podcast last time and doing that $10,000 and donating it to Every Child is a Swimmer. It's people like yourself and your company and AquaStar and all the amazing people that you have working there that truly make a difference and help people like Casey to be able to drive their message home. Because for the majority, the unfortunate thing is that you can scream from the rooftops this message, but without money, it's almost impossible, or it makes it that much more difficult to be able to get that message across effectively to the masses. And without companies like AquaStar, it would make the job of Casey much harder to be able to fulfill this dream and promise that she made to her daughter. So thank you guys very much for that.
Yeah, and this is absolutely an AquaStar thing. My name's said quite a bit so far, but we're super passionate about what we do as a company. It starts with Olaf. And then I was lucky to come on in 2010. Olaf had the foresight to bring Steve on 10 years ago now. And those two passions colliding is infectious. And then they taught me a lot about the passion of both the safety side and the production side. And then when Casey and I had a conversation, like I think we set it up for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was almost 2 hours. because I was like, wow, the passion is undeniable. And then I got to tell our story, AquaStar story, from the beginning and why we got to where we did and where we are. And I think she saw it too. She's, wow, I had no clue that this is the backbone of what your company is. So this is definitely top-down AquaStar in everyone involved. The passion is real.
What was the action? What was that switch that made you just go, we're doing something. We have to do something?
It was that phone call.
Yeah.
Like literally, like I've listened to Casey speak at a few events, National Plasters Council, also the Pool Nation Awards. And obviously the story is gut-wrenching. And then after the conversation we had, the synergy that I saw between her passion, Steve's passion it's bananas.
Second to none.
It's
bananas, that works.
Yeah, it is.
I've been known as bananas.
Yeah.
Too.
And it's every detail with him. It's every single detail. And it's fun when you have an owner that has the passion of doing the right thing for this industry and loving this industry, and then bringing people on like Steve that has the passion for what he does and what he does for the industry on the safety side. When those two worlds collide, looking back now is, wait, we could be unstoppable in this space. And I think we'll talk a little bit later how we morphed into where we are now with talking to the residential space about it. But yeah, a big lift for AquaStar at the beginning was commercial, because that was the big unknown. We were educating as many people as we could. And then now moving into the residential side for us is huge. It's very important.
Look, I think all this is just absolutely great and amazing that you guys are partnering, because AquaStar, I think it was like always meant to be, right? You know what AquaStar stands for and the mission and the purpose behind dedication you guys put into designing products that are as safe as humanly possible, and not just meeting expectations, but exceeding them so that you can have your part in being able to save lives out there. Can you share why that's been so important for AquaStar? Because as a company, there's guidelines and there's regulations and there's laws and there's minimum standards, right? And as a corporation or as a manufacturer, you're able to, if you just meet those standards, are okay. You're doing your due diligence or you're doing your job, or whatever's covered by law. But you guys go above and beyond, right? Every single day in every product that you make. Can you just explain where the passion really came from and why that's been so important for AquaStar to not just be a player in the safety portion of the industry, but to be one of the best, if not the best in the industry when it comes down to it?
Yeah, I don't want to oversimplify it, but just doing the right thing is what we're about. And again, Olaf, with the quality of the product that he wants to deliver to the industry, is second to none. So that basic foundation of doing the right thing and then bringing what I believe we have as the most amazing team in the industry. And that starts with Steve relative to the passion to getting it right, whether it's products, whether it's codes, whether it's standards, like just getting it right to make our industry better is really, it's a simple answer, I think. It encompasses a lot, but it's a very simple answer in that we just want to do the right thing.
You just talked about, obviously, Olaf, and then now you came in first, right? And then, so you came on, then you guys bring Steve on, and back then you just talked a little bit about the commercial space with that. Was everything, when we talk about, obviously, entrapment, we talk about that type of safety, was everything on the commercial side at that point okay and flowing, or was there a lot of things that you had to do? And then you mentioned the residential a little bit. What was the residential like?
Steve can touch on the commercial side relative to when we started this to getting 5 years in. The learning curve was fast, but they got good at it.
When we're talking about specifically drain covers and suction entrapment, I think I'm the detail guy, and there's 5 forms of entrapment. The big 3 are hair entanglement, and that's the toughest one because everything looks right. The screws are in place and all of that. Then there's body entrapment, limb entrapment on those keys, and those are very detailed things from a product design and a testing point of view. And my focus on those details, aside from it evidently being in my DNA, is I was very fortunate to grow up in South Scottsdale with a pool when I was 9 years old, watched it, and I've told this story before, but watched it built, latchkey kid, the whole neighborhood. We spent all summer alone, swimming all over the place, laps underwater, holding breath, kind of a thing. Very confident swimmer, loved the pool, loved the whole thing that comes with it. And then I was a teenager, 13 or 14, went to, it's now closed, but it's Big Surf in Tempe, Arizona. It creates waves that you can surf on. And they're every minute and 10 seconds. And I've been treading water literally all day. I saved my money to get entrance, but I couldn't rent a raft. And lifeguard was like, "You think you're a great swimmer?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I know I'm a great swimmer." He says, "Okay, go behind this line. And then when the next wave comes, force yourself underwater, the arms up kind of a thing." And he basically sent me down a vortex to a drain cover that was 8 feet by 12 feet and 15 feet deep and at 110,000 gallons a minute. So I was on a public pool drain cover for a minute and 10 seconds, but you have to understand I was standing up and I knew I could swim looking up at the water, people. And the bottom line there is once the next wave, the suction turns off momentarily, and somehow I had the intuition to not go the way I came and swam away from that vortex, just like you see drain bathtub or whatever. So then I was a teenager there. I started in the in-floor cleaning system at Caretaker Systems, and there was no drain cover standard at that time. So the VGB Act drain cover standard, it was voluntary, didn't even come into existence until 1987. This was 1986, and we needed a drain for the in-floor cleaning system to put the debris because the one that the in-floor world had been using was no longer available. And so they're like, "Okay, let's design a drain." And I was like, "Whoa, time out. We need to think about this because," and this was way before I knew what I knew now. So that was the passion and a belief is I know we can make this product safer, or let's design one from scratch that's safe. And it's always been my passion throughout is the advantage we have on a product like a drain cover is we know what the hazards are. We know how to test them. We can engineer and work around them. And then we have the backup of the federal law, pool pros that can handle this. So it makes a big difference in these products that this is something we can do. And when we achieve these goals, it's 100% successful. And that's an advantage we have as a product manufacturer, whether it be filter safety, the drain cover safety. There's things that we can do on a tangible level. And that's why I am such an admirer of your strength, Casey. And I've been around this a long time. I've met with some of the families because I've been in the safety side, safety and compliance for companies. And your story and your approach to this is so inspirational. The fact that you and your family have stayed together is highly unusual. And your strength and your support and what you're giving back is a true inspiration for me. And hearing your story in that episode helped, I think, really focus what we can do as a company, as individuals. And I'm just thrilled that AquaStar is joining what you and Horner are already doing, and Raypack, we're already involved. So we're joining a bigger effort. And our goal is to come up with ways that all of us can work together while still promoting this amazing industry we are and the family bonding and time around swimming pools. I compare the safety of all of these things is a little bit to the electrical. We have to respect it, but it's a part of our lives. So a little bit of responsibility. We don't have to overdwell on it. Today it's our focus, but.
And that passion that you saw right there, when it came to AquaStar was 2014. I had been with the company for, I feel like we started working well together even when Steve was still at Pentair and trying to do the right thing for the industry via suction outlet covers. And in working for those first 5 years, the commercial space started to get it really good. And Steve hit on something there, is that when we do it right, drain covers, it's 100% effective. And I know
That's
one thing,
huge.
you cannot get better than 100%.
Yeah.
So he comes in, we go a couple years relative to continuing with the commercial space. And I spent a lot of my first 4 years, I was in sales dealing with commercial applications and commercial contractors. And then we started on the residential side because we had a lot of relationships with a lot of the applicators around the world, meaning plasters, and on the residential side because of all the white goods we sold. And I remember having a meeting with Steve saying, man, as good as the commercial side is, unfortunately, as bad as the residential side is. And we actually started a campaign back in 2015, 2016, and it led into what's sitting in front of us today. But it was a brochure, a pamphlet that we were trying to get to the service trade, because this was right at the time where variable speed pumps were starting to ramp up. So we were taking pumps out of residential pools that weren't as powerful as the pumps we were putting in, and they were having to be put in by code in certain states. So we were like, this could be very dangerous. So let's start this campaign where we go to distribution and say, whoever buys a pump, take this pamphlet. And at the time, the pamphlet was a child on the front, and he had a blurb that said, because I'm worth it. And that poster still hangs today in distribution. We fought for a number of years in the residential space on trying to convey this message. And again, as good as we say commercial was, is as bad as residential was, and as great as it was to walk into those commercial contractors and say, this is how you do it, because they were starving for the information, because it was slowing down their projects if they didn't know how to do it right. Then we walk into the residential space, contractors, service professionals, and it was like, get out of here. We don't want to talk about this. We don't need to talk about this. This is not a residential. VGB is not residential. It's only commercial. And that was the fight we went through. We were like, you understand that doing it your way is going to hurt someone very badly. And doing it this way, doing it correctly, is 100% effective. And it's not a big change you have to make. They didn't want to hear it at all. So to bring this full circle was when I had the conversation with Casey, and I'm like, this is it. This is where we bring it back. We start getting our professionals to be professionals in addressing this stuff in the residential space.
Absolutely. And there's a huge part to it, right? And we talked about it offline about separating yourself and being more professional, like you were talking about that. And I think one of the things is those people are coming in saying, we don't want to talk about this. And what I want to do is I want to take a quick break for our sponsors. But when we come back, I want to talk about why it's such a taboo topic in our industry. And it drives me crazy. We want to ask you guys about that. So let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we will continue.
The Hyper Pole from Ultimate Pool Tools is a pool care pole designed by pool professionals for pool professionals, featuring precision-crafted carbon fiber and stainless steel construction. Go to ultimatepooltools.com or Instagram at Ultimate Pool Tools. Pool pros have specific needs when it comes to general liability insurance. The SPPA program has you covered. With 3 tailored and customizable general liability options, SPPA makes it easy for pool pros to feel secure. Find out more and get covered at thesppa.com. Now available, Pool Invoice. Pool Invoice is a pool billing software created specifically for the pool service and repair industry. It's developed for our industry and only our industry. Pool Invoice is built with recurring billing in mind. You can print, email, text invoices, or even send via WhatsApp. You can add recurring or yearly charges, accept credits, and set up autopay. You can even see when customers have seen the invoice. It even has a customer portal where they can log in and see, print, and pay invoices. It has all your customers' information on one page, so you don't need to search through hundreds of invoices looking for the one you need. Just go to the customer profile and it's all at your fingertips. Created specifically for the pool industry, Pool Invoice. Now available at poolinvoice.com. Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day. AquaStar's new pipeline cartridge filters, available in 2 sizes, deliver top-notch hydraulic efficiency along with best-in-class filtration performance, approaching that of DE filters. Uniquely designed, open pleat spacing means 100% of the media square footage is usable. And these claims are backed by NSF test results. Designed with the pro's time and comfort in mind, the patented double locking system improves safety and ease of access, making filter cleaners faster than ever before. Available now. Ask your supplier for pipeline filters today.
Natural Chemistry, a leader in specialty water care solutions for over 30 years, is proud to provide products that make pool service easier than ever before. Its unique enzyme formulations in Pro Series Pro Blend improve efficiency of your pool program while reducing frequency of filter cleaning and scum lines. Natural Chemistry is also well known for its wide variety of phosphate removal solutions that include a non-clouding formula in Phos-Free and extremely high-range removal with Pro Series Phos Remove or Phos Free Max. Save time, save money, save work with Pro Series products. Stop sacrificing durability or efficiency with the help of Raypak's new Avia HD models that utilize NITEC, their exclusive industry-first technology. NITEC heat exchanger technology is Raypak's latest solution to superior strength and maximum efficiency when it comes to residential pool heating. With 900% more nickel compared to copper nickel in critical surfaces, NITEC creates an ideal surface to protect against scale formation and erosion without compromising on Avia's 84% thermal efficiency. Learn more at raypak.com/NITEC. The next evolution in lighting is here. Universal Color Logic 2.0 from Hayward. The latest in pool and spa lighting was designed with you in mind, making installation a breeze. Upgrades include a detachable cord and first-of-a-kind adjustable lower catch to overcome variations in plaster thickness. As always, Universal Color Logic lights retrofit into virtually any in-ground pool or spa while delivering industry-leading, vibrant color. Visit Hayward.com to discover more.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. We continue our conversation with Casey, Steve, and Todd. I do want to do something really quick so I don't forget about our peeps. So Brian Kersan was saying that he will put it together as long as you set something up that it includes fireworks. I think that's a great idea. So you have the pyrotechnics background, so let's make that happen. Let's talk to the fire marshal in Dallas. Corey Holland, heartbreaking. I'm so sorry for your loss. No parent should have to experience this. And thank you for your story and your leadership. And then Regis, no matter how many times I hear this story, I end up crying. And then I met Casey in Florida, and she was very busy at the Florida show. She stopped and spoke with me about her daughter and program. She's absolutely incredible. So big shout out to everybody out there. We really appreciate that.
Todd, during the break, I was really thinking about the last comment you made when you guys were implementing that program and talking about the difference between the commercial side and the residential side and the resistance that you guys faced when it came to standards and the VGB code. Can you talk about why you think the message about safety has been so taboo in our industry as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, still trying to figure it out myself, actually. Like I said, the commercial side they're unbelievable, right? It's what they live by, these codes and standards. And so the residential side, what do you think the hang up is with the residential side, Steve?
I got a reason.
I think because we've been dealing with it for a long time, or I have, and they're afraid of, certainly on the pool sales side, is they don't want to scare them about, oh, wait, this is dangerous. That's why I use the electrical analogy, that this is dangerous, so they don't want to talk about it. And that's a legitimate challenge. The other reason on the residential side is, I think, and I heard it many times early on, and I found it horrifying. It's never happened in my pool. And this was pool contractors and builders and people involved in the codes and standards. And I was like, but this one is 100% preventable. And that's the solution. But I think it's fear of it. And that's what your story, Casey, and your approach to this. And I watched that podcast several times because you have, the pools are an amazing thing. We want that to be a part of our life, but there are things we can do to do that. And this is, in my opinion, a work in progress for us as an industry, me as an individual, and the companies. How do we broach this so that it isn't so scary? And I think you have nailed it.
Oh my gosh, that means the world to me. Absolutely. Thank you. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, real quick, Casey, I want to give this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think this is the truth and the reason behind it. I think why it's been so taboo, safety, is because it's not sexy, right? When you talk as an industry, you want to talk about the latest and greatest innovation on how you can make more money, how you can make things more easier or more intuitive, makes your job easier. And when you focus a lot on safety, usually that hinders performance sometimes because you have to throttle things back because you have to take into consideration the important things, right? Like people's lives and the effect that it has on people. So that's what I think. It's like, oh, I have to do that. It's another step I have to do, or my job's going to be a little bit harder. And that's the mentality of a lot of people, not because I think human beings are terrible. I just think it's because of ignorance and because they haven't been through, right? And you don't know it until you've experienced it, until it really touches home with you or something happens. I guarantee you, if you went to somebody who has a family or put someone in and says, hey, would you mind doing this extra step or paying a little bit more if I can guarantee, right, that your child would never die from drowning because of this or whatever. And that type of perspective or in that frame of mind, everybody I would imagine would say, absolutely, I would do it. I'd do it no problem. I do it with a smile on my face and ready to go. But it's hard for people to really put that into context or because they just haven't experienced it. And it's like, don't touch that fire, don't touch that flame, don't touch that flame. And you can either listen to me and not do it, and so you don't get burned, or the majority of us have to actually touch it and get burned before we learn not to do it anymore. And it's quite the battle that you guys are up against, that we're all up against when it comes down to fighting the good fight. And it's hard for companies to be able to create something that not only is safe or safer, at least, because it's impossible to really get to perfection, but to do that and be innovative, right? And to do, and at the same time. And for instance, like the pipeline filter, you guys tackled two things. You were extremely innovative with the product, right? And you were able to cross that threshold or that barrier of, here's a pipeline filter. It's the safest filter out there to open or to use or whatever. That might not have resonated as well, or it might not have picked up as well, unfortunately, if that was the only reason. Where not only is it the safest filter out there, but it's also one of the most efficient filters or the most efficient filter out there. And it does this, does that. So you've tackled the innovation side of it and you found a way to marry the safety with it. And then now you've created a product where you're able to get both results. So that's my personal opinion on why I think the safety thing has been so taboo. It's simply because for the most part, if it's done without innovation in mind, it becomes cumbersome to some people, or it costs the manufacturers more money and the people applying it more money. And that's just a sad, cold, hard truth. But hopefully we can change that frame of mind and people will start to really take this safety into consideration when they do things and say, no, I'm going to make a choice and do this and do that because it's the right thing to do, like Todd, you were talking about.
And I have a different thought on that. I'm going to let Casey go really quick, but I have my thought on it. It's probably going to be unpopular, but sorry, Casey.
On the taboo topic, I think it's just nobody wants to think about a child dying. And they're selling a product that you want people to enjoy and just spend so much time around. And I think that when you think about losing a child, nobody wants that to happen. So why am I going to approach that subject with these customers that potentially will build a pool or that I'm going to service? So it's a scary topic. And I think that they're just fearful. They just don't want to evoke fear into them. And what I really just encourage all of the pool industry to do is to have those tough conversations or those real conversations to protect them, because none of us want to have a fire in our home. And this is what I talk about when we talk about water safety. None of us would ever want to have a fire in our home, but we have a fire extinguisher. We have a meeting place. We've talked about it. Same thing goes for having a flat tire. None of us want a flat tire, but we have a jack in our car, so we're prepared. We're prepared for fire. Now, we're not really talking about water safety, and so many of us are not prepared for these situations to happen. So that's when layers of protection come in, as well as teaching our children to swim and making it be the first sport. It doesn't have to be a taboo topic. It could be one that we're proactive and that we're really thinking forward to safeguard our children and our families.
Yeah, I agree.
Did you want to jump in and say your portion of your unpopular thought, Edgar, or should we continue?
I'm probably going to piss off a lot of people. I'll just say really quick. So I kind of agree a little bit with both of you, and that is that if you have somebody that's building a pool or building a product or doing any of that, you want to stay away from the fear factor of somebody. You're trying to sell a product, but at the other end, the person can die on the other end. So unfortunately, my personal thought is a lot of these companies don't want to have that conversation, because then what it can happen is it could hurt their sales. And unfortunately, that's the world that we live in. There's a lot of companies like AquaStar. That's not the case, that they go for 100% of making sure that product that they're going to put is safe, just like the filter, right? Why has nobody in our industry ever built a filter that is safe until somebody comes that cares, right? But we're not going to say that the other filter is not safe so that we can continue to sell the products that we have. So that's my unpopular opinion. I'm sure it gets out, and I'm sure it'll piss off. Yeah, go ahead.
I had one more piece of it, because if it's not for any other reason, the legality component is a big factor. When we lost M, we had attorneys calling us and asking us who we wanted to sue. Did the realtor talk to you about water safety? Did your pool guy talk to you about water safety? And so I think if nothing else, think about it in that context. Obviously, we didn't sue anybody because it was on our watch, but many families do. And I think that if nothing else, your bottom line, just to have that conversation, nobody wants this to happen, but it could come back and haunt you as well.
And I think what we love about Casey's message and what she's bringing to the industry is, maybe as an industry from the manufacturer side, just like with education, maybe we haven't done a good enough job of formatting something that a professional can walk to a homeowner and say, this is what we talk about. This is how we get there. And that's where we're trying to jump in and trying to format something out to say, this is what you use. And again, it's not a massive deep dive, but just be aware. Right? Just get the conversation started.
So, Casey, can you talk a little bit about water safety and the things we can do to help?
Just like we talked about last time on the podcast, I think the most important thing you could do is have the conversations. Having the conversations with your customers and your clients and the new pool builders. I think that having that conversation is absolutely the most important component. I think sharing information with electronic billing, I think that leave behinds, all of these things are touch points to educate their clients, to again safeguard their children and their families. And I think teaching them to swim and encouraging them and pointing them in the right direction, that there's help out there, because learning to swim is really the only thing that could potentially save their life. And it's a skill, a life skill that will stay with them for the rest of their life. And so I think that just educating your clients and the people that you come in contact with is really the first step that I would recommend, as well as the layers of protection, making sure that you're talking about that. This material here that AquaStar created is just incredible. So I think that don't be intimidated to have the conversation. Don't be intimidated to share the information. We're here to help you to be able to pass that information off to your clients.
This piece, because Todd was like, we got to deal with this. Okay, this is almost a stop what you're doing, him calling me, listen to the podcast and all of that. And the reality is the fear we just talked about, the contractors not wanting to bring up a negative thing. And one of the messages that you really have resonated with me is, how do we start this conversation with the homeowner on the pool pro side? And so the concept here is, as Todd mentioned earlier, we had Because I'm Worth It. We revised that to say, let's talk safety because I'm worth it. And you so graciously allowing us to use your story inside. And the whole premise and the goal of this is it really tried to make it that it's something that they can feel comfortable with. It's important stuff, but it's not scary. We tried to keep it so that it looks nice. It's got useful information. And I think for the pool pros out there, my personal hope, having been dealing with this safety thing for almost 40 years, is if we can just plant the seed. If you're not comfortable with going into the deep dive, the idea here is that you can share this. There's talking points, and we've intentionally worked it. And it's not just the drowning prevention, it's the VGBA entrapment equipment safety checkup, because we have things, be it electrical, gas heaters, filter safety. We obviously, some of these things we can build into our products, and they don't need to know anything to be safe with our filter. Fortunately, when it comes to drowning, access to water, and then also drain covers, if they're not installed, they don't have to be. That's the bigger challenge. And I'm hopeful that this piece builds on what others are doing. But the whole idea is Even if that first thing is, hey, we do this, we take care of your water quality, because I think the service pros are already really good about, we are pros in making sure this water's safe and healthy. But there are other things that we think you should consider. Here, take this. There's the drain covers, there's the filters, it could be heaters. Equipment needs to be maintained, and there's a lot of that stuff that doesn't make the news. And so hopefully this will be a first step, but for the pool pros, if they will just plant the seed, they don't have to be the expert. And this piece and others we've seen is the idea is it gives them, they can either talk through it to the level of their comfort, leave behind that they can go find every child a swimmer where they can find that information. But I firmly believe that if we just say, hey, this is something you should be aware of, I hope that it could be almost as viral as, hey, there's a really good restaurant, you ought to check it out. You don't go sell the menu on the restaurant. It's just, oh, look into it. And then we as an industry, including this piece, hopefully gives them something that they can begin this conversation.
So they're not so intimidated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this piece is built, we're going to finish this piece up, and it's going to go in every pump that we sell. It's going to go in every filter that we sell, and make it accessible for the pool professional. And then also we'll make it accessible for anybody out there, even if you're not using our products. Like, hit us up. We'll send you 1,000 of them, and you can take them out through your routes and hand them to the people that you do service for. But the other part that I hope this piece will do is the foundation of Pool Nation is to teach the pool professionals how to be a better pool professional. The icebreaker that would be a new client for a service professional to walk in and literally lead with safety, changing the game relative to what the pool professional is perceived at. Let's walk in, because you're hiring a pool professional because you don't understand the equipment. I can't keep my water chemistry proper, yada, yada. But when you hire someone, and if they walked in and the first conversation they wanted to have with you was the high level safety features that we should address before I become your service professional, that just makes us a more professional industry. That makes the pool professional more professional. So
makes you more valuable as well.
Absolutely.
Right?
And that's the part you talked about earlier. Like, well, it's not sexy because I can't put a pump in and make a whole bunch of money, or a filter in and make a whole bunch of money right away. What's sexy? Reoccurring revenue. And reoccurring revenue, when you can demand more because you are a better professional, home run, right?
And when you talk about, you just mentioned it, but we talk about always being more professional. And I always go back to a lot of the newer pool pros that are out there that don't have the advantage or the leverage of somebody that's been in the industry for 10 years, right? So if I started 6 months ago in the industry and I don't know a lot of water chemistry and I don't know a lot about repairs, but I'm trying to go get that customer, I'm trying to build my business. This is something that you can talk about with that customer that's going to give you that leverage. And you're going to stand in front of that customer and you're going to say, look, let's talk about how I'm going to take care of your pool, right? Let's talk about the safety aspect of the water and bacteria. Let's talk about this. But now let me talk to you about something that's going to be also just as important. And you talk about this, now you've completely set yourself apart from the other competition. And John, we talk about low-hanging fruit, right? And trying to gain an advantage over maybe the larger company that doesn't do it. This is a perfect time. And I understand that it's a difficult conversation. We were having a conversation that I think a lot of people are introverts, right? So nobody wants to go and say, hey, Mr. Todd Pieri, can we talk about this for a second? Let's talk about it, something that you might consider scary. You have to get over that, but there's no easy way to get over that. The conversation just needs to happen. It's not a sexy conversation. A lot of people are like, oh, well, but you know what? It's the safety of a child, and you have to have the conversation. So you're going to have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable and having that conversation. But I promise you, if you have that conversation, you are going to become that professional that you're talking about and helping your company grow and create that reputation.
Yeah, what's in here is not uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. It's not.
Right.
At all. Leading with it, or if you have existing accounts, going back and saying, hey, you know what? We've changed our mantra a little bit with our company, and we want to begin discussing safety with you. And this is something you can read, and let's work on this together and make the experience for everybody in that backyard a great experience.
If they just weave it into what they are doing, that it becomes a part of their whole professionalism for sure. But think about it. One, because of the internet, it has changed in the last 20, 30 years, where before they had no idea about this. So it was shocking building a pool, and that was a reality. The good news is, because of the internet and safety and everything in this world we live in, you will find most people are already, oh, yeah, okay, what's the details of this safety? Think about automobiles, seatbelts, airbags, Volvo. They don't sell sexy cars. They probably can't, but they forever were selling the safety. So the point is I think what you just do it, and you will find they are receptive. They're like, oh, yeah, okay, so what are those elements? But it doesn't have to dominate. It shouldn't, in my opinion, dominate. Almost like when you get your oil change, you get the safety check, right? They're not going to fix your brakes or whatever, but they give you, hey, be aware of that. That's sort of the idea here, is we wanted it so that if it's a full-service pool pro that does everything, this would work. Say, okay, this is what we do for you. If you're that new to the business and don't know, it's designed, I don't know, but I know people who did. And so we really wanted it to be broad spectrum. But understand your customers, that it's not going to scare them as much as it scares you.
And you build your brand as a company, right? And safety should be that aspect. Great customer service, that brand recognition, build it into your brand and stand out from there. We need to take another word from our sponsors. I do want to do one thing, because I'm going to give, and I'm going to be a little selfish here, I'm going to give one shout out. So my wife is a huge fan of yours, by the way. And she just sent me this picture, and she said, I'm watching you guys live on the TV. So
happy anniversary, Leanne.
Yes. Today is our 22-year anniversary. So big shout out to my wife.
Thank you for sharing your day with us.
Yes, absolutely. So we were honored to be able to share your day. So I think we have 2 more questions specifically for AquaStar. So let's do this. Let's take a word from our sponsors. When we come back, we'll find out what's next.
The Hyper Pole from Ultimate Pool Tools is a pool care pole designed by pool professionals for pool professionals, featuring precision-crafted carbon fiber and stainless steel construction. Go to ultimatepooltools.com or Instagram at Ultimate Pool Tools. Pool pros have specific needs when it comes to general liability insurance. The SPPA program has you covered. With 3 tailored and customizable general liability options, SPPA makes it easy for pool pros to feel secure. Find out more and get covered at thesppa.com. Now available, Pool Invoice. Pool Invoice is a pool billing software created specifically for the pool service and repair industry. It's developed for our industry and only our industry. Pool Invoice is built with recurring billing in mind. You can print, email, text invoices, or even send via WhatsApp. You can add reoccurring or yearly charges, accept credits, and set up autopay. You can even see when customers have seen the invoice. It even has a customer portal where they can log in and see, print, and pay invoices. It has all your customers' information on one page, so you don't need to search through hundreds of invoices looking for the one you need. Just go to the customer profile and it's all at your fingertips. Created specifically for the pool industry, Pool Invoice. Now available at poolinvoice.com. Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day.
AquaStar's new pipeline cartridge filters, available in 2 sizes, deliver top-notch hydraulic efficiency along with best-in-class filtration performance, approaching that of DE filters. Uniquely designed, open pleat spacing means 100% of the media square footage is usable. And these claims are backed by NSF test results. Designed with the pro's time and comfort in mind, the patented double locking system improves safety and ease of access, making filter cleaners faster than ever before. Available now. Ask your supplier for pipeline filters today.
Natural Chemistry, a leader in specialty water care solutions for over 30 years, is proud to provide products that make pool service easier than ever before. Its unique enzyme formulations in Pro Series Pro Blend improve efficiency of your pool program while reducing frequency of filter cleaning and scum lines. Natural Chemistry is also well known for its wide variety of phosphate removal solutions that include a non-clouding formula in Phos-Free and extremely high-range removal with Pro Series Phos Remove or Phos-Free Max. Save time, save money, save work with Pro Series products. Stop sacrificing durability or efficiency with the help of Raypak's new Avia HD models that utilize NITEC, their exclusive industry-first technology. NITEC heat exchanger technology is Raypak's latest solution to superior strength and maximum efficiency when it comes to residential pool heating. With 900% more nickel compared to copper nickel in critical surfaces, NITEC creates an ideal surface to protect against scale formation and erosion without compromising on Avia's 84% thermal efficiency. Learn more at raypak.com/NITEC. The next evolution in lighting is here. Universal Color Logic 2.0 from Hayward. The latest in pool and spa lighting was designed with you in mind, making installation a breeze. Upgrades include a detachable cord and first-of-a-kind adjustable lower catch to overcome variations in plaster thickness. As always, Universal Color Logic lights retrofit into virtually any in-ground pool or spa while delivering industry-leading, vibrant color. Visit Hayward.com to discover more.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Pool Nation Live Podcast. We're talking to Casey. We're talking to Todd. We're talking to Steve. I do want to do one really quick thing before I get in trouble. So, Todd, I gave out a coupon for everybody to be able to use the coupon as many times as they want for the next month. For everybody that's listening and can't watch, I have my phone out because what I want to do is I want to get physical evidence that I'm not going to be in trouble. So I'm not in trouble, right?
You are.
I am?
Yes. 100%.
Oh, crap.
Yeah.
Anyway, so everybody that's out there, that backfired on me, right? Spider, could you do the dump button on that comment that he did right there?
I'm sorry to say that we're live on multiple platforms right now. There's no dumping going on.
So anyways, at the beginning of the podcast, I threw out Todd's coupon for the $300 off for the pump, and you're only supposed to use it once, but I gave everybody as many. So I hope that I get a message from somebody, a big, huge company that goes, I'm going to buy a pallet and use the $300 off on the pallet. That's what I would hope to happen.
Todd's not.
I don't know if you do hope that'll happen, but if that happens, we'll talk about it.
That would be so awesome. So I'm challenging anybody out there to please do that so I could rub it in Todd's face.
He is really a troublemaker.
What do you think, John?
Yeah.
John, does he spend your guys' money as frivolously as he spends ours?
No, actually, it's all part of a bigger plan.
Yes.
So I wish I had a whole bunch of coupons so I could just go right now like this and go, coupons for you, coupon for you, coupon for everybody.
That's pretty much
he does love Oprah. He does love Oprah.
You get a coupon. You get a coupon.
You get a coupon. You get a coupon. And use it as many times as you want.
My goodness.
Todd, what's next for AquaStar and Every Child is a Swimmer?
Yeah, again, we feel like this is just the beginning of an incredible relationship. Our commitment to, again, a fundamental piece that we can give to our pool professionals to lead into this topic is going to be accessible for everyone. We're going to put this piece, like I said, in all of our equipment that we send out. And we talked about it a little bit before this podcast started with Casey about donating a percentage of revenue for equipment sold to Every Child a Swimmer. So we're going to work through that. And yeah, we want to make a commitment for every pump that's sold, every filter that's sold, every ozone that's sold. We're going to give a piece of those profits to Every Child a Swimmer.
Wait. Backtrack here for just a second. Repeat that?
Wow.
We're going to give a piece of revenue for every pump, every filter, and every ozone system sold to Every Child a Swimmer. So the first donation was the initial, and we hope this will be a long-lasting relationship and beneficial for our industry, which is the most important thing to us.
It definitely will be. Definitely. We will make Every Child a Swimmer, for sure.
To be honest with you, I thought it was just going to be like one product.
Amazing.
No, every piece of equipment.
that you guys make.
Absolutely.
Unlike your promotional things that do shock us, this is core of who AquaStar is and why I joined the company. That what I do on codes and standards, a huge percentage of our time, education, research in the lab, none of it's inexpensive, but it is the core of who Olaf and who AquaStar is. So this is, in my mind, a no surprise natural extension of who and what we are. And we encourage all of our other manufacturers to do similar things.
Absolutely.
We can move this needle.
I agree. Yeah, we can. And I think by working together and just doing a little something, we will. We will move the needle and we will save many lives.
Yeah, I think you touched on it in the podcast 203 was the expense per child, right? And it's not cheap. Yeah, everybody needs to get on this program with Every Child a Swimmer because this is so important to our industry. So important.
And I'm the standards guy. So one of the things we didn't get into, you mentioned it in the original podcast, is that you and your organization hold accountable the people receiving this money. And it's results driven. That's what standards about. Did you achieve the goal? And I think that's just so spectacular that there's accountability with this charitable organization. Pamphlets and things and promotions and big checks are really cool. But what matters in everything we're doing are the results. And that's the advantage we have with products. We can do things, and pool pros can do things with product safety. Drowning prevention is just...
Yeah. I think with our program and what sets it apart and what was the mission right from the get-go is the bottom-up approach, that we are going to touch one life at a time, whether it's one life or 1,000 lives. We do a line of credit with our swim schools. We do a vetting process to make sure that their mission aligns with our mission. So it's quality-based. They have small class size ratios. They could follow the progression of skills that are obtained. And I think that's the most important piece because that's where the needle will be moved, and we are going to create swimmers. So small class size ratios, lines of credit. Before we pay them, they have to give us the number of lessons achieved, the skill level at the start of the lessons, the skill level at the end of the lessons, and then we pay them based on that. So every dollar that's entrusted to Every Child Swimmer is like our money. We want to be good stewards with it. So we want to make sure that the swim schools have that accountability and that integrity just like we do so that we're all in it together to hopefully create a whole generation of swimmers. And just like Todd mentioned, our scholarships are about $300 baseline to $500 per child. But most of the swim schools know that they have up to $500 to get that child to a safer space where they can exit the water if they were ever put into a position like that.
She talked about it right at the beginning. This is the foundation and the synergy that we love is like, the goal to starting out was it's one child, then two children. Like for us, it's that baseline of we start here and we just try to get a little bit better every day is the fundamental goal with our company. And where I saw another synergy connection with Every Child a Swimmer is that it sounds so simple and it rolls off your tongue so easily. And I think it gets lost a lot. Like just every day, you just got to get a little bit better. That's all we got to do is just get a little bit better. And if we can do that every day from here on out, our industry will be incredible.
So I absolutely love the comments that you guys are saying with move the needle. And I was thinking about it, and we get a message on here from your team that says, Casey, that should be our next campaign, move the needle. John, I'm thinking we're going to make some shirts on there that say move the needle, Pool Nation.
Yeah.
Ooh, well, that's pretty good.
The ripple effect.
Catchy, right?
I think the ripple effect was what happens when the drowning occurs, this ripple effect of impact and trauma. Just like with your situation, you remember these significant people and when that tragedy happened. So the moving the needle is just really making sure that integrity is always kept and that we are making a difference with what we're doing in our efforts. And I think that's where I feel like where we're going with what we're doing in our collaboration for sure.
And moving the needle requires you to get started.
Yes.
Start talking about safety. Get started.
And I bet you here was what's going to happen. So we have Coastal Cactus on here, and he's saying a 3-page laminated handout has been on my list. Time to get that done. So Coastal Cactus, here's what you do, brother. Just send me your telephone number on Instagram. You've got my Instagram there. And then what I'll do is I'll personally give it over to Todd. And we'll get that so that they can get some done for you, and they'll just send them to you. Like you don't have to do any of the work. We'll do that. So send that over to me. And a big shout out to everybody. I know that we've been so deep that I've forgotten a lot of the peeps. So everybody that's been listening today, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. But normally I throw it back to John for final thoughts, but I think, John, I'm going to throw the curveball to them. Can I throw it to them or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
But before we do that,
Yes,
I just want to say thank you to everybody. You guys are amazing. Thanks for coming out and doing this again. I know today's a very special day, and we're so grateful that you took the time to come out again, Casey, to have this podcast and to help us land that message out to everybody. Todd, Steve, Olaf, Brian, everybody at AquaStar, Suzanne, the crew that does all the testing. You guys are just keep fighting the fight and doing the good work. We're going to do everything we possibly can in our power to make sure that we help amplify that message across the industry to every single pool pro. And we're going to integrate it in everything that we do, as far as our conference, as far as our boot camps. When we speak to our customers and to our community and the pool pros that we talk to, our promise and our commitment is that we're going to instill that message as well, so that we can do our part, and hopefully we can help everybody move the needle just a little bit more. And then next time when we have a conversation, or next time we have a podcast, because I'm sure we will, we can talk about some of the successes and some of the progress that we've made towards making every child a swimmer. Thank you guys. Love you guys. Really appreciate it. These are the types of, I really enjoy doing these, right? And I love talking shop, talking business. I can do that all day, and we do that all the time. But when you have an opportunity to take part in something as important as this, and to be able to hopefully change the mindset or the perspective of just one person, makes it all worth it. And it motivates us. I know Edgar, myself, Zach, this is the type of shit that really fuels our fire and gets down to the root cause of why we're doing what we're doing. We just want to better the industry that we're a part of. However you look at it, that's exactly it. And if we can do that, we're going to try our damnedest. And I just want to really say thank you. I really appreciate it.
Final thoughts. Are you guys going to pull a John and wait till I say a name? Is that what you guys are doing here now? Like, you guys have watched John way too much, John, and now they're just looking at me. We're not going to say anything until you say my name. So go, Steve.
All right, I will go. This is a core part of being a professional, just like the water chemistry and all of that. And this is important. I encourage everyone to take daily steps, weekly steps, do what we can. But please don't lose sight of the amazing industry we are a part of and a privilege to be a part of, and the joy, the health benefits, the family, the social, the neighborhood. So while the safety things and the geeky stuff I did, they're very important, but please understand this is in support of amazing industry, and we should be proud of it.
Mr. Pieri, final thoughts?
We're just grateful for the relationships that we have with you guys, the relationship we're developing with Casey. That meeting that happened a couple months ago really, I think, pushed us back to our roots and understanding where we came from. And it's so important that as an industry, bringing this message back out, and if we can play a little role in it, in helping the pool professional speak to the end user and make their experience better, that's massive. The continued support with every child a swimmer is going to be very important to us. And as we talked about, we encourage everyone to jump into this and get involved. And our involvement, as we talked about, go support our equipment. You support our equipment, and we are going to be giving money to every child a swimmer. And you'll know every time you buy a pipeline product, there are proceeds of that will be going to the foundation. And we will continue to push and drive this message. And as you talked about with the pamphlet, it is accessible to anyone. Call, email us, get a hold of your rep, get a hold of Edgar, and we will send you brochures that you can start handing out to your clients.
Absolutely. Casey.
I'm speechless. Not in my wildest dreams that I would have ever thought I'd be sitting here 15 years ago. Like I've talked about, I am an incredible introvert and was afraid to even order a pizza before my daughter's death. But I believe that there's a fire inside me that is just continuing to push. And with amazing people, like I spoke about at the Pool Nation Awards, you guys had open arms and you've been warm and inviting and engaging and non-judgmental. It's just all hands on deck. And for that, I'm incredibly grateful, because what that does is it just gives me the drive to push harder and keep going, because there are hard days. There are hard days. There are hard times. But thank you. I have to also thank Bill and Mike for entrusting me to run this program and doing it with the best of intentions. I think that it speaks volumes. And I'm incredibly grateful. And I don't take a moment for granted that I've been given this gift to honor my daughter, but also save lives. I can't bring her back, but we have the potential of saving incredible amounts of children and making a difference. I don't take a moment for granted. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. I also thank everybody that has supported us all the way from day one. It's only 2 years in, and we've accomplished a lot. And I just really look forward to the future and what we're able to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys for coming. We're super excited to just play a little part in this. And John and I were talking about it. This is the stuff that excites us about Pool Nation, right? To be able to make a difference. Yeah, like John said, we could talk shop all day and we can do all that kind of stuff. But when we get to be a little fly on the wall and be able to just be a part of people coming together and doing something big, that's what fuels the fire to do what we do. So thank you, Casey, for your passion. Todd, Steve, Olaf, the entire AquaStar team, you guys have been nothing but amazing. And you hear me talk about it all the time. You guys are setting the standard, right? There's a couple of fresh companies coming into the industry that are setting the new standard for the pool industry. And we will continue to root for you guys. We'll continue to partner with you guys, specifically for things like this that you guys are doing. It's not just about making money. It's about making a difference and about setting the better standard for our industry. So thank you so much, Mr. Flawless. Believe it or not, I am not tired anymore. I'm ready to go. This podcast fired me up.
I know. I'm pumped too. I'm ready too.
Go.
This is go out there and you want to change the world.
Yeah.
You just
want to move the needle.
We
for
can.
Sure.
That's
one pool at a time.
That's going to be my saying. Move the needle.
Let's do it.
So anyways,
all right, guys.
Hope everybody has a great weekend. Catch me and John live next Wednesday on the Instagram Live when I go crazy giving out $300 coupons for AquaStar. We'll catch everybody next week.
Yowza.
Thanks for listening to the Pool Nation podcast, a member of the Pool Nation family. You can listen to us live every Friday here at 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. You can find us at Pool Nation or poolnationpodcast.com, on Facebook, or on Instagram at pool.nation. And to find more info about Pool Invoice, the billing software built specifically for the pool industry, go to poolinvoice.com. Before you go, this is what the pool industry has been waiting for. PoolmanUniversity.com. It's the first platform dedicated to learning the swimming pool service and repair industry. A pool service community where you can connect and find videos on business, service, water chemistry, and repairs. See you there at PoolmanUniversity.com.